Okay, let's get into the next topic of discussion now. A yet-to-be-confirmed paramilitary outfit, the Federal Taskforce, is hoping to get their public hearing and third reading at the Senate on November the 18th.
In 2017, a bill for an act to establish FTF passed second reading at the National Assembly under the sponsorship of Senator Samuel Anyanwu. The agency says it could generate over 320 billion naira to the federal government's account annually.
Now, when the agency comes into operation, their area of focus will be on revenue defaulters, piracy, and national heritage protection. They believe that they can block all the loopholes in revenue collection across the country.
And joining us now is the Commandant General of the Federal Task Force, Moses Happy Garba, and Barrister Dominic Haigbe, Head Legal Department, Federal Task Force. Good morning, gentlemen, and thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning.
All right, so you're looking at the purpose for this paramilitary agency aim to solve the problems of piracy, curb revenue defaulters, and protect national assets. There are some who would say that there are agencies already, on ground responsible for all of these duties. How does your own body complement the already existing ones?
Yeah, you're welcome, sir. The fact remains that this agency, Federal Task Force, is actually coming to task force and to enforce, to work with the relevant commissions already existing, to curb piracy, to protect national heritage from the abuse that we are given. That is the only way Federal Task Force is coming to make sure things work right.
All right, but we have the NSCDC is also meant to protect national heritage, national assets, and ensure that there's no civil disturbances and all of those generally. So I wonder how different that is to the Federal Task Force. I think we want to talk about that.
Oh, yes. The civil defense, the core mandate really is actually to protect critical national infrastructures. Like the CG said, protection is to a level and an added value afterwards, and then turning it into a revenue generation outfit or unit. It's a different level. I get that that is where the line of difference is between the NSDC and the Federal Task Force.
Okay.
The CG was quoted some time ago to say that the Federal Task Force has the capacity to generate 320 billion naira annually. I'm wondering how you intend to do that. And also, Nigerians always are very careful when they hear that agencies are built to generate revenue, because the fallout of that might be witch hunting the citizens in order to meet up the figures that you have quoted, to say.
To start with that, I think Federal Task Force is not going to be a threat to anybody. The fact remains that there are a lot of areas, untapped areas, where we hope to generate revenue to assist in the area of budgeting. And there are other areas that have been existing, but they are either abandoned or scrapped. And that is why we are calling on the federal government for the rehabilitation of way bridges, like the toll gates, creating parks at the beach. You go to the beach today, you see people, a lot of people, collecting revenue for vehicle entry from individuals. Where is the money going to? To the individual pockets. Federal government needs this to also boost the economy of this country.
Yes, but in that case, when you have an outfit that should collect the monies instead, they are still going to be manned by Nigerians. It's still the Nigerian people who are members of this task force, as the case may be. We have had reports of corruption from within the customs. We've had reports of corruption from within immigration. We've had reports of corruption from the NSCDC, from the police, even from the military. So what is going to be different with the with the task force?
With the federal task force.
A lot.
Exactly.
A lot of difference.
Maybe I should come in here
Yes,
too. Yes.
Dominic, you have to come in here somehow.
Yes, thank you. You see, we actually don't throw the baby and the bathwater away. We talk about corruption, yes, but thank God happily we have agencies of government that fight corruption. Like the CG said, you go to the beach, you have a young man who put up a touch, and then he picks 1,000 naira from every car that drives in. If you take your time to look at it, a day, over 200 cars move in there. Now, the young man is doing that because that environment, that unit, apparently has been abandoned. If the government has to add value to that, like he said, the creation of parks, creation of resorts environment around it, it is most likely going to attract not just Nigerians, also the international community, people who want to visit. So it now leads to generation of more income. Now you talk about the Nigerians. Nigerians are going to be employed in doing all of this. That we are afraid there will be corruption does not mean we have to allow these things to rust away. Happily, the Federal Task Force is an outfit that has been existing over time with quite a number of Nigerians, well-trained, disciplined. So the issue of corruption and the rest of them, where they come up, because where you have humans, of course, there will always be issues like
Dominic,
that.
let me stay with you on this.
Yes.
You said that the task force has been on ground for some time.
Yes.
There are still contentions about it being recognized by law. And as at today,
Yes.
there's still the push for the National Assembly. In fact, it has passed the first and second reading.
Second reading, yeah.
Exactly. And so, in their existence, how have they been existing, and what have they been doing the period of time they've not been recognized by law?
Okay. Yeah, before this administration, the immediate past administration actually created the Federal Task Force. And when it was created, it had what I would call state support while awaiting accreditation by an act of the National Assembly. When this administration came in and then decided to take a second look at it, it was natural that the activities have to scale down. Happily, there's a bill before the National Assembly that has gone through the first and the second reading. And then we are now awaiting the public hearing. And the third, of course, the assent by the president. Talking about survivor, you see, that is where this is actually what makes it different from the other outfits. We have young, vibrant Nigerians who are self-motivated, who are driven, that are saying, look, we believe in this. This is not an outfit that is expected to be a conduit pipe to the federal government. We have seen areas we think that are largely abandoned, that can be rejuvenated, that can be tapped. It's a matter of belief. That is the motivation. So that's kept them going. Now, in addition to that, really, people like the CG here and some of our other top-ranking members also have to lose sleep. They have sometimes to put in their personal income. They have sometimes to put in some other things to make sure this outfit keeps going. So that is why it is very important that this bill says true, and then there's an act that charters the body.
I'd love to hear the CG out on this because I believe it's in charge of operations. Recently, there's been, controversies about the recruitment exercise into the National Task Force. There are reports that some unscrupulous elements, took advantage of it online, deceiving young Nigerians to, enroll for this. I'm wondering what precisely the mode of operation is right now. Do you also recruit people while you await ratification by the National Assembly?
First of all, we are not recruiting. For now, we are not recruiting. We are dealing with the existing members of Federal Task Force.
What's the size? What's the size of the
We're over 51,000. Over 51,000 across the nation.
The Federation. Okay, you have 51,000, and 51,000 people across the nation. If you exist, like you say, with the enormous, like you just mentioned, the beaches and parks and all of that. It means that you're going to deploy more people into all of those areas. And which means 51,000 will certainly not be adequate Because even as of now, the Nigeria police, where we have about 334,000 personnel, is still inadequate in covering all the areas. And you're going to raise about 320 billion naira as revenue to government. Having it also in mind that this 51,000 naira will be paid, and if you look at the wage bill, it's going to, from the new minimum wage, is going to exceed 320 billion naira per month. So how do we reconcile that when the outfit is supposed to bring in revenue for government, and certainly if they are adopted, they're going to take so much?
Yeah, like I said before, this agency is self-sustaining.
How would it sustain itself?
Self-sustaining because actually we're coming down to generate revenue to the federal government cover. But from the revenue we generated, we can actually do it ourselves and also generate some to the government. Because there are a lot of ways. Even the 320 billion is an understatement. Because we believe that we're going to generate even more than that. If the custom can generate $1 trillion, and we are coming to complement each other, I think we'll do better than that.
All right, let's talk about intellectual piracy, which is also a big challenge in this part of the world. I know that there is COSON and several other agencies working on the music aspect of it. What precisely would you say they're not doing right? And what is the task force going to do differently if it's passed into law by the National Assembly?
Okay, yeah. Literally, the word task force means, you could say, it's a galvanized effort, a group of people with a definite mandate to attack a problem. Now, you talk about COSON. First of all, intellectual piracy has become a major challenge. It has become a global embarrassment. It is even becoming more sophisticated by the day. Now, with COSON, you will notice each time they have to probably go on enforcement, go to major markets, go to publishers and all of that. They have to rely on some security agencies to do this.
It's even the census board that when it comes to enforcement, they handle that area.
Now, with that, they have to rely on security agencies to do this. But now we are talking of an outfit that is created with that definite mandate. So it is going to be on ground all of the time. The effectiveness will be felt more. I will do a bit of digression. Before we came, we had the EFCC. We had financial crimes being prosecuted by the police under the relevant criminal act. But then we had a lot of setbacks until the creation of EFCC. You can agree with me today that the impact of EFCC is felt not only all over the country, but also all over the world. The same thing is going to happen with the Federal Task Force.
All right. Now, we remember just a few months ago, the Peace Corps was packaged together and sent to the president, and he didn't assent to it, saying that what the Peace Corps is coming to want to tackle, there are so many agencies.
It's a duplication of duties.
Yes. Don't you feel it's going to be the same thing with the Federal Task Force?
Very well. We've had this question, being thrown at us every now and then at different fora. If you look at the core mandate of the Federal Task Force, it's quite different from what we have from the Peace Corps. We just mentioned intellectual property now. We've mentioned two other agencies that actually have the responsibility to make sure intellectual property's rights are protected. You are also very much aware that even with the aggressive activities of these agencies, very little is achieved in this direction. Now the need for a unit, Federal Task Force, to frontally attack this. This is what we are talking about. Unlike the other unit you just mentioned, we have told the government, this is what we want to do. You mentioned 350 billion naira. That alone can come out from Badagry. That is today a relic. All we just are saying is, let the government charter this body. Let us set to work. So the difference the objectives are quite different.
You
I
know,
do not see the government.
There's been the challenge of clashes between similar government agencies. We've seen that play out, you know, in time past. You made mention earlier that you've been in this struggle since 2012. What current relationship exists between the Federal Task Force and other paramilitary agencies?
You know, I said, we are not coming out to compete with any existing agency. Ours is to complement each other, most especially in the areas of leakages. We come in, block the leakages, let government and the people of Nigeria benefit and enjoy the income. For now, especially the police, the Nigerian police, will be in very good cordial relationship. I've written to them many times, asking for the assistance, and they've been giving me the best they can.
Are you also going to carry arms?
For now, I can't answer to that. But if the government feel that Federal Task Force is fit and they approves it, why not?
Yeah, but the point there is, will you recommend that you carry arms? Then how do you enforce? Because you used the word enforcement earlier on. We know the terrain that we are, and you are a federal task force that is supposed to enforce parts of the law. So if you don't carry arms, how do you enforce?
You don't enforce only by carrying arms.
Certainly we know, but we understand the terrain we are. That's what I'm saying.
There are a lot of ways.
The civil defense, after operating for a while, when they saw the reality of things, they had to approve them carrying arms.
You're quite correct, but the arms carrying didn't start from the beginning. Are you getting me? And I think we also have to look at that. Because the issue of arms carriage, you know, there's this psyche sense to Nigerians. I think the most important thing is that it creates a sense of awareness in us to know that somebody is in charge of an assignment. We have federal road safety, for instance. They're on the federal highways. Sometimes, in some isolated part of the federal highways, they don't carry arms, and yet they enforce the law on the road. So this is the direction we are looking at.
Perhaps we're going to emphasize the use of non-lethal.
Okay. It depends, exactly. We discussed that yesterday. All right, now we have to round it off here one way or the other. I hope that there will be time for us to educate Nigerians more and to also understand, because there are areas of controversy where Nigerians don't seem to understand what is going on. There are also the issue of the task force collecting about 79,000 naira from those they are recruiting. Money is from forms and all of that. We'll have time to understand those areas so that people don't misunderstand what you're doing. But we thank you very much, Commandant General of the Federal Task Force, Moses Happy Garba. Thank you for coming on the program. And Dominica Higbe, Counsel to the Federal Task Force, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.